Claire Bennet did not expect visitors. The rain had started an hour earlier, light at first, then steady, drumming against the windows of her small apartment in Portland. She stood near the couch, barefoot on the wooden floor, holding her phone like it might suddenly explain everything. No messages from Evan. That was strange. He usually sent her something sweet before bed: sleep well, future wife, or can't wait to see you tomorrow. Tonight, nothing. She told herself not to worry. Tomorrow was a big day. People got busy. Still, the silence felt heavy. Her wedding dress hung from the closet door, wrapped in clear plastic. She had tried not to look at it too long earlier, afraid the nerves would take over. Candles burned softly on the kitchen counter. A cup of tea sat untouched beside them, already cold. Claire walked to the window and stared at the wet street below. Headlights passed. A bus hissed as it stopped at the corner. Then, knock. 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 3 slow taps on her door. Claire turned sharply. Her heart jumped. No one was scheduled to come over. Her parents were downtown. Her bridesmaids had promised to leave her alone. Evan had said he was staying with his brother across the river. She stood still for a moment, listening. Nothing. Maybe someone at the wrong apartment. She padded across the floor and peeked through the door's small viewer. 3 people stood in the hallway. A tall man with silver in his hair and a dark jacket. A woman with bright red hair holding a closed umbrella. And a younger man, hands in his pockets, looking uncomfortable. Claire opened the door only halfway. Yes? The older man gave a polite nod. Claire Bennet? Her stomach tightened. That's me. My name is Marcus, he said. These are Lily and Jonah. She didn't recognize any of them. Is there something you need? She asked. Lily shifted her umbrella to her other hand. Your fiancé, Evan Brooks, asked us to come. Claire blinked. What? Marcus's voice stayed calm. He said you might be surprised. But that you'd hear us out. Claire stared at the 3 strangers. The hallway light glowed behind them, making their faces hard to read. Why would Evan send people I don't know to my apartment the night before our wedding? She asked. Jonah swallowed. We understand how that sounds. Claire's fingers tightened on the door. A dozen thoughts raced through her head. Was this some strange joke? A mistake? Had something happened to Evan? Is he okay? She asked quickly. Yes, Marcus said. He's fine. That didn't make her feel better. Rainwater dripped from Lily's coat onto the carpet outside. Claire hesitated. Every sensible part of her said to close the door and call Evan. But another part, the one that had trusted him enough to say yes to a lifetime, told her to listen first. Come in, she said at last, stepping aside. They entered slowly, like guests afraid to break something. Marcus wiped his boots on the mat. Lily set her umbrella near the wall. Jonah looked around the apartment, then at the garment bag hanging from the closet. That your dress? He asked without thinking. Claire nodded. He gave a small, nervous smile. Congratulations. Thanks, she said, though her voice sounded thin. They stood there for a moment, unsure where to go. Kitchen table, Claire said, pointing. They sat. Claire stayed standing. So, she said, crossing her arms, you're here because Evan asked. Yes, Marcus replied. And you are. Lily took a breath. People from his past. That word past sent a quiet chill through Claire. What kind of people? She asked. The 3 strangers exchanged looks. Marcus leaned forward slightly. The kind who knew him before he became the man you're marrying. Claire felt her pulse quicken. The rain hit harder against the windows. And suddenly, the night before her wedding no longer felt calm at all. Claire sat down slowly, her mind racing. The 3 strangers, Marcus, Lily, and Jonah, watched her carefully, as if waiting for permission to speak. The room felt smaller than it really was, and the rain outside pressed against the windows like a heartbeat she could hear. "Why would Evan send you here?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Jonah shifted in his chair. "He thought you should know, pieces of his life you haven't met yet." Claire frowned. "Pieces?" Lily swallowed and leaned forward. "We were part of his life during a very difficult time. Years ago." Claire blinked. "Years ago?" Marcus nodded. 10 years ago. A time he rarely talks about. A time that shaped him. Her heart skipped. She knew Evan had a past, but he rarely shared details. He liked to keep things light, simple, easy. She had assumed that meant there was nothing too heavy, nothing she needed to worry about. Clearly, she had been wrong. Jonah's voice was quiet but firm. "The year his sister passed away." Claire froze. She remembered Evan mentioning his sister's death, but only briefly. He'd never gone into detail, never let himself seem vulnerable. Now, hearing these three people talk about it, she realized how much he had carried alone. Lily continued, "He broke away from everyone back then. Friends, family, even himself, in a way. We were there to help him, each of us in different ways." Claire's fingers tightened around the edge of the table. She tried to picture the young man she loved, struggling so quietly with grief. The thought made her chest ache. Marcus spoke next. "I was a mentor at work. Jonah was his roommate. Lily, she was his first serious girlfriend after college. We all helped him find his footing again." Claire shook her head slowly. "And you're telling me this, why?" Lily's green eyes met hers. "Because Evan didn't want you to marry him without knowing. He wanted you to see him as he really is, not just the polished version." Claire exhaled sharply. "But this, all of this, why tonight? The night before our wedding?" Jonah's hands tightened in his lap. "Because he's scared you might only know the safe, happy version of him. He wanted honesty first, before vows are exchanged." The room fell quiet, the rain a soft background drum. Claire stared at them, trying to absorb the weight of what they were saying. She realized she had never fully understood the man she was about to marry, not all of him. Marcus reached into his coat and pulled out a folded envelope, placing it on the table. "He wrote this for you," he said. Claire's pulse quickened as she reached for it. The handwriting was unmistakable Evan's. Her hands shook slightly. She didn't open it immediately. Instead, she asked, "Is there more I need to know?" Jonah exchanged a look with Lily. "There is." Lily nodded. "We're telling you because he trusts you. Because he loves you. And because he wanted you to understand the life he had before he could offer his whole heart to you." Claire's chest tightened. The silence after those words pressed down on her like the weight of the rain outside. She wanted to hear everything, know everything, but part of her was scared. She took a deep breath and unfolded the envelope. A single sheet of paper inside revealed neat, familiar handwriting. Her fingers traced the letters before she began to read. The words made her stomach flip, her eyes water. This was Evan, the man she thought she knew, opening himself up in ways he never had before. Sharing pain, regret, fear, and love. The three strangers watched her carefully, giving her the space to absorb what he had written. Claire felt a strange mix of emotions, shock, sadness, relief, and an overwhelming tenderness toward him. The night had begun calmly, a quiet, rain-filled evening before her wedding. But now, with these strangers in her apartment, Claire realized that this night might be more important than the wedding itself. She looked at Marcus, Lily, and Jonah. "He trusts me, and you." Marcus nodded gently. "Yes. And he hopes you'll trust him, too." Claire exhaled, trying to steady herself. The envelope felt heavy in her hands, though it was just paper. She realized her life was about to change, not because of the wedding tomorrow, but because of the truth she had just begun to understand. The rain fell harder, tapping against the window as if urging her to make sense of it all before the morning. And for the first time, Claire felt the weight of love in a new way, real, raw, and deeply human. Claire's hands trembled as she held the letter, her eyes darting between the three strangers sitting across from her. Each of them had a look of quiet seriousness, a mix of concern and hope. The rain outside had grown heavier, splattering against the windows in a constant rhythm. The room felt small, intimate, as if it had been waiting for this moment. She cleared her throat. "Okay. I read the letter. But there's more, isn't there? Something you haven't told me yet?" Jonah nodded slowly. "There is." Claire leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table. Her heart pounded. "Tell me." Jonah took a deep breath. "The night his sister died. Evan wasn't home. He'd gone to see Lily." Claire's chest constricted. He left?" "Yes," Lily said softly, her voice steady but trembling. "They argued. It was a mistake, yes. But he thought he was doing the right thing at the time. He didn't know the news was coming. He blamed himself for years." Claire's stomach flipped. She had never heard Evan speak about that night with this much detail. He'd always been careful, protecting others from the weight of his grief. Marcus leaned forward, his gray eyes serious. That guilt shaped him. How he lives, how he works, how he loves. He's the man you know now because he fought through that pain. And he did it largely on his own. Claire's hands clenched. She tried to imagine a younger Evan, carrying so much grief, making mistakes, learning to survive on his own. Her chest ached with compassion, but also with a strange frustration at never knowing this before. "He didn't tell me," Claire whispered, almost to herself. "Not like this." Lily shook her head. "He was scared you might see him as broken. He thought, maybe you wouldn't understand." Claire took a shaky breath. "But I love him. I'd understand anything." Marcus's voice was calm, patient. "He didn't trust himself enough to hope you would. That's why we're here. We wanted you to see the truth before you marry him. Not to scare you, not to push you away, but to show you everything that made him who he is." Claire's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to let them fall yet. Her mind swirled with emotions: love, fear, anger, tenderness. She looked down at the letter again, then back at the three people who had come into her life without warning. "He wants me to know this, before I say yes?" she asked, her voice trembling. Jonah nodded. "Yes. He trusts you enough to tell you, but he needed a way to let the past speak. He knows words alone might not be enough." Lily placed a hand over Claire's. "We're not here to take him away. We're here because he loves you and trusts you to understand everything." Claire closed her eyes for a moment, letting the sound of the rain and the sincerity in their voices settle over her. She thought of Evan, the man she had spent years loving, planning a life with, and soon promising forever to. She realized she had been seeing only pieces of him, the polished, happy side, not the full story of struggle, guilt, and survival. Marcus spoke again. "He wanted you to know that he's human. That he's made mistakes. That he's grown. That he's ready for you completely, with all of it behind him." Claire's fingers tightened around the envelope. She could feel the weight of his words in her hands. Each line reflected his fear, his hope, his love. And in that moment, she understood something important: loving someone fully didn't mean loving only the easy parts. It meant accepting the hard parts too. Her heart ached, but it also expanded. She looked at the three strangers and nodded slowly. I understand now. I see him, all of him." Jonah smiled faintly. That's all he hoped for. The rain fell harder, like a drumroll outside, marking the intensity of the night. Claire felt a surge of emotions: relief, clarity, and a profound love for the man who had trusted her enough to let his past be known. For the first time, the night before her wedding didn't feel tense or frightening. It felt real, raw, and full of meaning. She realized that tomorrow's vows wouldn't just be about a promise, they would be about knowing each other completely and choosing love anyway. Claire exhaled, her hands still clutching the letter. The strangers had done their job. They had shown her Evan's truth. And in doing so, they had shown her the depth of the man she was about to marry. Her heart whispered a single, unshakable thought. She was ready. Claire stood by the door, still holding the envelope, rain dripping from the small rug beneath her feet. The three strangers, Marcus, Lily, and Jonah, had said their piece, shared Evan's past, and now waited quietly, as if their presence alone had done what needed to be done. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. "I'm outside." Her breath caught. Evan. Soaked, probably worried, probably waiting for her reaction. Her chest pounded. She opened the door slowly, and there he was. Hair damp, coat sticking to him, eyes red-rimmed like he hadn't slept. He looked vulnerable in a way she had rarely seen. "They came," he said softly, nodding toward the three strangers behind her. Claire stepped aside. "Yes. I read the letter. And I understand now." Evan swallowed, the tension in his shoulders visible. "I didn't want to scare you," he admitted. I wanted you to know the truth. I wanted you to see all of me before tomorrow." Claire studied his face. Not perfect. Not flawless. Human. Broken sometimes, strong sometimes, but always genuine. Her heart swelled with something deep and unshakable. "You arranged all of this," she said, her voice a mixture of disbelief and awe. "Yes," he said, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Because I couldn't find the words. Because I wanted you to know me fully before we start forever." Claire's lips curved into a slow smile, though tears pricked her eyes. "It's a lot." "I know," Evan said. "And I understand if you need time. If you want space. I'll wait. Even if it hurts." Claire looked at him, then at the rain falling outside, then back at him. The fear that had tightened her chest earlier began to loosen. She realized something crucial: the honesty, the effort, the vulnerability. This was love in its truest form. "I don't need shiny," she said quietly. "I need honest." Evan's eyes softened. "Honest is what I'm giving you. And I'm ready for you to accept it, with everything it comes with." The three strangers, Marcus, Lily, and Jonah, cleared their throats politely. Lily smiled at Claire. "Take care of him," she said. Jonah nodded. "He's worth it." Marcus gave a small bow of his head. "You'll see, he's worth it." Claire felt a surge of warmth, realizing how deeply Evan had cared to let this truth come out before their wedding. She nodded at them, feeling a quiet gratitude. They turned and left, the door clicking softly behind them, leaving only the two of them in the rain-soaked hallway. Evan reached for her hand, his fingers cold but steady. "Are you okay?" he asked, voice low, tender. Claire stepped closer, letting her forehead rest against his chest. "I am. I'm okay. I'm more than okay. I see you now, all of you." He pulled her into a gentle hug, arms wrapping around her as if he could shield her from everything except the truth. She could feel the tension drain from him, the fear, the worry. It was all real, but it was all there to be faced together. "I was scared," she admitted softly. "I know," he whispered, pressing his cheek to her hair. "And I was scared too. But we're here now. Together." She smiled through her tears, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath her cheek. "Tomorrow, we start forever. And I promise. I choose you. All of you." Evan smiled, a slow, relieved smile that reached his eyes. "And I choose you. Always." They stood in the quiet hallway, the rain outside a gentle rhythm, matching the calm settling in their hearts. The stranger's presence had vanished, but the gift of understanding remained, stronger than any worry or fear. For the first time that night, Claire felt the weight of love in its purest form: honest, raw, human, unshakable. The storm outside didn't matter. The night had been long, emotional, and unexpected, but it had brought them closer than ever. Claire took a deep breath, lifting her eyes to meet Evan's. "Let's go inside. Tomorrow is waiting. And so is forever." He squeezed her hand, smiling softly. "Together." And in that small hallway, soaked from rain, surrounded by quiet strength and love, they both understood real love wasn't about perfection. It was about choosing each other after knowing every truth and still saying yes. The night before forever had tested them, revealed their fears, and deepened their hearts. And when the door closed behind them, the future felt alive, radiant, and impossibly full of promise.